Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. This is the Iron Bronze Silver League, and we are here in Week 4 with a game between rawr and Bobcat Esports. I'm Yarko, going to be doing play-by-play here in the booth with Industrial. How are you feeling today?
Honestly, I'm just shocked by these teams because we didn't know who was going to be in for what. And to see the team that rawr has composed, they all have matching icons, by the way. I know y'all can't see that on the stream, but that is just like the synergy right there makes me feel good because we did talk about that earlier and how like that's always a concern, especially when you have this like fluctuating team. But I'm kind of excited to see what happens and catch my hooks. Like, I hope to see Thresh from them. I just feel like that's like an obligation at this point. So, and I don't really know what else I'm gonna see until we start picking band phase. Really,
Yeah, it looks like the bans are going to start coming through here, but as those come out and we get to relay those, I just wanted to say that, especially on rawr side, who is going to be starting on blue for this game, we are both getting those coordinated summoner portraits, but we're also getting a return of a lot of subs from the past. So these are people that are it seems that we are jumping straight into client draft actually rather than using draft lull. Um, I'm unsure as to whether or not that is the direction that we're going to be going with pick ban phase this time around. We will be getting an update from production on that in just a second. But looking over on draft lull, we are already seeing a few bans coming through. Yumi Shen, the first two taken out from rawr. Bobcat Esports, meanwhile, deciding to go take away that Tryndamere.
I am so happy to see the Yumi ban. I hate Yumi. I hate playing against Yumi. I played with a Yumi. We all had this conversation before the stream started, and I am just very, very glad to see Yumi ban, and I'm curious to see what Bobcat wants to ban next. I mean, with a team like this that's like kind of always changing and that kind of stuff, it's very interesting to see, I guess. And with the Caitlyn ban, which is what we talked about earlier, is how Dayu enjoys playing Caitlyn and like those range ADCs, so I'm not shocked to see that ban either. And it looks like rawr is going to pick their third and final ban until it goes back into picks.
Yeah, we're getting that Diana taken out. Diana, a really strong champion right now. We've been seeing her both in the mid lane as well as into the jungle role. So I like the fact that they're being able to take out this flex pick so early on. Caitlyn, as you were just talking about, something that we really see Dayu Gaming 7 hop on quite frequently, given the fact that she is one of these champions that excels at long ranges. But at the same time, there are so many other ADCs that kind of synergize with this front to back style that rawr might be looking to go for. So we could still be seeing something like a Jinx pick up here, and it looks like Catch My Hooks is going to start off the night with their namesake Pyke coming through.
I was honestly hoping Thresh, because when I hear Catch My Hooks, I think of Thresh, but I am glad to see Pyke. I'm curious to see where that goes. And I'm wondering if they're going to pick their next ADC here. Oh, they actually locked in Jinx first, which maybe the Pyke cover is a potential pick that's next. We don't know for sure. However, I'm not shocked to see the Jinx really. That is something that Dayu enjoys. Actually, no, that is not something that Dayu normally we see on Dayu. That's a Bobcat Twitch or pick. So that's actually pretty interesting to see that they're taking away this pick by just picking it themselves, and hopefully Dayu does well on the Jinx.
We are definitely in a Jinx meta right now. So I like the fact that rawr has the confidence to first pick it, even if it is something that Dayu maybe doesn't lean on to the same extent that they do some other champions there in the bot lane. Jinx is incredibly strong, has great hyper carry potential, and when picked with the correct support, can really just pop off in the late game, especially if Catch My Hooks decides to go for something a little bit more enchantery there in the bot lane. Meanwhile, Bobcat Esports going to be picking up the Veigar as their first selection and following that up with an Ezreal.
The Veigar also doesn't surprise me too much because that does seem like something that Miss Pip enjoys playing, which I have no complaints at all whatsoever. I do very, very, very much like the removal pick though, and I am enjoying that. Gwen! That's an interesting one. I want to talk about that Gwen pick right there. Because Gwen has been seeing a lot of like spotlight in the jungle recently, and I'm curious to see how IBS takes that Gwen and plays it, I guess.
And Gwen is a champion that did receive nerfs here in patch 12.5 that has taken them a little bit out of contention, especially in the super high echelons of competitive play. But she is still plenty strong, don't get me wrong. She'll probably be going there into that top role and will just be able to farm up and become a massive split pushing threat. I also like the fact that by going this AP top laner, you have a little bit more ability to go for something that's going to be AD in the mid lane, getting Black Jones 88 onto something that is very aggressive early, can put a lot of damage down onto the Veigar, may really help to stop Bobcat Esports from snowballing.
Yeah, that Veigar is definitely always a scary pick in general because just looking at the champion is just very upsetting. But it looks like they're banning Lux and Zinzao, or our next two bans, Zinzao on our side and Bobcat on or Lux on Bobcat's side. And they're also banning out the Pike too, which isn't too much of a surprise after seeing rawr hover it for so long before they locked in the Jinx. It might have been Catch My Hook's plan to play, but it also could be something completely different. He might end up pulling out Thresh. He might end up pulling out Nautilus. Anything seeming like a hook-like champion seems to be Catch My Hook's pro best support, which doesn't shock me too much because name it's right there, Catch My Hook. So
Yeah, definitely. And we're waiting out this last ban. rawr having to utilize an E sub is going to be losing one of their abilities to remove a champion from Bobcat Esports' overall pool here. And so we are just going to be seeing that lone Xin Zhao ban here in the second round. Morgana going to be picked up on the side of Bobcat Esports. There is a little bit of flex potential that I want to name out here between the support and mid lane roles. Miss Pimp and Bell can go on either of those champions. We have been seeing Veigar support, especially in recent patches, just kind of come to the forefront due to that champion's just incredible scaling power in the fact that just by stacking that Q, you're able to overcome a little bit of that lack of income that you get in that support role.
yeah, for sure. And I don't think we'll see that flex switch tonight, honestly, because it does seem like Belle is very comfortable on Morgana. It's something that is in her match history and such. While Miss Pimp does also have Veigar in her match history. So I'm very curious to see how that goes and all that kind of stuff. But I'm curious to see who they're going to pick for their jungler for their last pick as rawr picks out their support. So
Yeah, and as you see rawr lock and rise here, that is actually going to be a Yasuo. A little bit of a mess up on the draft front here. And while we would love to see the blue man go build that kind of full tank style that we've been seeing, especially in higher level play, I think that the choice of the Yasuo here is going to be a pretty solid selection there in the mid lane to go up against Miss Pimp on her Veigar. Sion now, the last lock in for their side.
I have a love-hate relationship with Silence. I played top lane today, which is not a normal role that I played, and I went against a Siron, and split pushing Sion alone just has a lot that can be said about it. And with the final picks here, I just like to look at the team comp as a whole. I really enjoy that both sides has this assassin champion along with their tanks and that kind of stuff. I'm not quite sure who the support is actually now that I'm looking at rawr's side. Do
Yeah,
you have a
Yeah, there's definitely a few different directions that rawr can go here. We may be seeing an Amumu support going alongside Jinx there in the bot lane. This, I think, is a champion that has incredible catch potential and really can kind of work as a great engage slash frontliner that may synergize with Catch My Hooks' overarching style. At the same time, I haven't not seen Scion support. It's not really a super common pick, and I think given the fact you're either up against a Veigar or Morgana support there in the bot lane, you are going to have a rough time. So I'm going to put my bets in on the side of the Amumu going into the support role, but overall, I think that we're just going to have to wait to see as this client draft now restarts back up for us to really get a sense of where everyone's going.
yeah? How I do like how both team comps look so far, though. I'm just a little bit confused with ours. I, for me at least, I see Yasuo mid, Amuma support, Jinx spot, Gwen jungle, and Sai on top. But I again could be incorrect. But with that Morgana there, as long as Belle, theoretically, if Morgana goes bot lane, can land her black shields, I don't see much of an issue with how bot lane is going to go. I do think it will be in Bobcat's favor because of that black shield and how Catch My Hooks may struggle to get in and start those fights in the early laning phase. he has to get it early before Morgana hits level 3, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Industrial. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, we could in fact be seeing the Jarvan the Fourth go into the support role, put Morgana there in the jungle, and just have yet another layer of mix-ups possible here. As we see this draft trying to restart yet again, I think we're having a few more issues here in the production side of things. But if anything, this just gives us a little bit more time to work through the picks that we've been seeing coming out and really kind of debate where we're going to be seeing them go. How do you feel about this Ezreal ADC pick on the side of Bobcat Esports, actually?
I'm not 100% sure yet. Ezreal is a very heavy skill shot champion, and I do like the Ezreal up against the. If it is an support again, everything is a little bit confusing right now. I am fairly confident it is, though. I do see a lot of potential for Ezreal Morgana to just kind of slip away from this Amumu support, and I feel like it'll end with like a lot of, I guess, less struggle for rawr, or less struggle for Bobcat side and more struggle for rawr side, because they have these two very slippery people in the bot lane together, and if they want to get Jinx ahead, especially on what I believe, I don't know if Daiu's comfortable on Jinx or not. I don't think he is personally, but seeing this Amumu not be able to get that engagement, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, a lot of really interesting plays can come out of that bot side of the map. It could definitely be explosive early on, depending how aggressively we see Donkey Dunks on the Ezreal decide to play out that lane. And I think that'll also just be contingent, as you were talking about, Industrial, on what exactly the support from the side of rawr is, because it is still quite up in the air at
Okay.
this point. I do
This
want to go with these assumptions, though, about how the champions are coming out here. Sion probably going to be going on into the top lane. And if that is the case, I'm interested in trying to figure out how this double tank matchup topside is going to benefit one side or the other.
My personal prediction is that it's going to be a farming lane. Until a jungler goes up there and starts a fight, I don't see these two engaging together at all. And if they do, then they're going to be fighting for like 5 to 10 minutes until someone dies from like minions or something. So I don't see a lot of fighting potential in top lane personally. However, in the mid lane, I'm curious to see where that goes, especially with that Yasuo wind wall. I don't know if it can block Viper E 100% sure on that. Can you confirm or deny that for me?
I believe it could block Vagar Q. I don't believe it could block Vagar E, or at the very least, Vagar E is able to just kind of get around the wind wall positionally. So maybe if you drop it right on top of the wall, it may interfere with its ability to deal damage. But I think that for the most part, Miss Pimp is just going to look to cage her opponent there, and maybe even use that baby cage to get a stun onto the Yasuo as Black Jones kind of dances around and dashes from minion to minion.
Yeah, no, I do see mid lane also being a heavy fighting engaged lane, especially on our side, because you do not want to let that Viger get ahead and just snowball from there. I expect to see a lot of ganks mid, and depending on the dragons of this game, I think there'll probably be more bot prio, depending on the starting dragon, of course. Um, that's just my personal opinions about it. Who do you think are like the final team compositions? Because as we're looking in the client champ select, it does look like we're going to see Gwen jungle and Sion top, Yasuo mid. On Bobcat's side, we will see the Ornn top, the German jungle, and the Vigar mid. So it looks like it is not going to be a flex pick with a Vigar support, and we will end up seeing Morgana Ezreal bot lane, which is going to be very interesting and a big struggle for Catch My Hooks to be able to get in on top of them and be able to start those fights.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that the compositions you see here really does lead me to kind of believe that this will be a Bobcat Esports favored match. The fact that Amumu will struggle to get around the minion wave and get onto Morgana or Ezreal means that he's going to have to play relatively passive early and just look for big team fights or engages. But even as you begin to move towards these grouped scenarios, you got to look at the champions that Bobcat Esports have on their side and how they function in 5v5s, obviously one big pick from the Morgana or Jarvan can really turn the tide of a battle. But also when you just look at the pure engage potential in Ornn dropping that Call of the Forge God, or Veigar being able to cage some of the more mobile champions that we see, like the Gwen or the Yasuo, I think that ultimately this is going to translate into a really rough set of win conditions for rawr.
I might argue otherwise, honestly, because if they don't have enough time to prepare for a Scion ult, then that can just be a recipe for disaster. As long as they get that, I guess specifically put that exact scenario where they can find that Scion ult before Vigar can stop it, I could see Catch My Hooks just poking onto someone from the knockup and immediately ulting, and then another Jinx ult. And Scion ulti has very good synergy with Yasuo. I could definitely see team fighting potential being more in rawr's favor under the parameter that Vigar or Miss Pimp, as we'll say, does not get that baby cage off soon enough.
That's definitely true, but I also just have to wonder what Scion's goal in this game is going to be. I think
There's
that
a
we
lot
might
of
just see
questions.
them rush that hull breaker, right? And just stay in one of the side lanes away from the rest of the team there and just try to get down as many towers as possible. Split pushing, as we know, is something that is really valuable, especially in these lower elo brackets, just because it oftentimes requires multiple players from the enemy team to kind of peel up and catch that champion out. But if it is the case that they want to keep Scion away from the team fights and might take away one of rawr's big engage in pressure picks, as you were kind of talking about.
Well, on that note, I guess we'll have to see who is right when it comes to team fighting once we start our game, and we will see you all in a bit once the game actually starts.
Welcome back, everyone, to Zero Gravity Gaming Iron Bronze Silver League Week 4. We are here in a game between rawr and Bobcat Esports. What do you think we're going to be seeing out of the first few minutes here, Industrial?
It definitely doesn't look like there'll be an invade just based off of where everyone's placement currently is on the map. However, I am curious to see what will happen in the very beginning stages of laning phase. I do see what looks like. I'm wondering if Jarvan's going to be starting top. Oh, we got a little fight going on.
Yeah, it looks like it's just a bit of poke right there. Yasuo charging that Q up, as it were. We do have catch up my hooks all the way up here around the mid lane, just making sure that if the fight does start, he will be there with the engage. Amumu starting in that support role. He's able to pick up that Q rather than having to go for a W or E start, as most junglers are wont to do.
Yeah, for sure. And it does look like we're going to be having our normal bot side starts for both the junglers. So Gwen will be starting red, while Jarvan starts blue. It does look like the wave is starting to crash in the mid lane as well. And I guess we'll start seeing how everything goes from there.
Yeah, I think that the early push advantage from either side is going to be really valuable in dictating these opening moments, especially on the bot side of the map, where I think you want a thinned out wave that will allow for Catch My Hooks to kind of look for more linear engages there and just allow for him to have a little bit more freedom of positioning. Bell, on the other hand, really wants to get a push on their side as well, so they too have the ability to kind of weave in her Qs all around just to ensure that they're able to continually shut the Amumu out and just prevent engages from coming through, as we see both sides jockeying for a little bit of push control here on the bot side.
It does look like what we're seeing right now too is just a lot of trying to figure out who is going to land the first hook of the game. And it looks like Catch My Hooks is going for that. Oh! We got the double hook, I guess, and an ignite on Bell.
Yeah, Ignite already coming out, and that will be first blood going over to the side of rawr. Dayu Gaming using that, get excited to drop a few more rockets down onto Ezreal in turn. But this is the potential that you see for coming out of the bot side for rawr if Catch My Hooks is in fact able to land a Q. Even if this Morgana Dark Binding lands onto him, if he is traveling towards Bell, it is already a little bit too late for them to disengage.
Does look like Catch My Hook started with Hex Flash, as we see. His Flash is now gone and Hex Flash has replaced it, which I am excited to see, because I can just imagine him going from bush to bush with it, just in a very fun manner, and just kind of seeing what happens there. It looks like both junglers are getting both their buffs now, and maybe bot lane's coming back. I don't see any potential for a fight anytime soon again. If anything, I think it would happen again bot lane. That first flood was very fast, to say the least.
And we see Sion beginning to stack up waves and get some crashes off, which is allowing for him to go drop a little bit of vision there in the tri-bush. I think that, as you said, the majority of the action that we're going to be seeing in this game is going to be coming from the bot side of the map. Bell walking up pretty far, going to be able to land that Q down onto Catch My Hooks, but I think for the time given, it is going to just be a matter of push and pull. That is a really huge wave, and I don't think that this is one that Amumu can fight in.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like a lot of fighting will be bot lane. It does look like mid lane has a little bit of pressure. It seems to be going back and forth, to say the least. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen next, though, I guess. I see a potential fight mid lane. However, I'm not too sure. It looks like Jarvan's coming down to gank bot lane, potentially, though, or he's just getting scuttle.
Yeah, we are beginning to see the beginnings of movement from both teams here onto the bot side of the map, as we're about a minute from the spawning of this dragon, which means that there is a premium being placed upon a gank either in the mid lane or the bot lane. Jarvan milling around right now, trying to see if he can get away in onto Yasuo, and there it is going to be. Cage coming down, forcing Black Tones to flash out, but big rotation from Dunky Dunks is going to allow for him to drop some missing shots down and get a lot of poke out. Summoner spell gone, and this is probably going to spell a back from the Yasuo, but given the fact that he has that teleport, I don't know if this will lead to enough priority for Bobcat Esports to start up this dragon, especially as we see Dunky Dunks going for a back here.
Yeah, and one thing that was very unfortunate is there definitely could have been a kill on Yasuo. Unfortunately, Dunky Dunks just did not have enough mana to do much after that with his little poke there, and there was it's just sad because there's a lot of kill potential there that just wasn't able to come through.
And what's pretty surprising is that Black Jones decides to not back even after taking a little bit of a walloping there and is just going to return to lane. If it is the case that you see a return of Bell and Dunky Dunks to the bot side of the map, you as Yasuo are probably not too worried about the individual kill pressure of just Miss Pimp on that Vanguard in the mid lane. So I'm relatively happy with this choice just because it'll allow for him to reassert a little bit more priority there in the mid lane against Miss Pimp on that Vanguard.
For sure. And one thing that I also believe about Veigar in general is that it is a very safe pick, and I feel like that is how Miss Pip is playing this out, especially if Yasuo even gets a little bit ahead. That is always a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and we see her matching Yasuo's wave management pretty consistently. It isn't necessarily the fact that she's pushed in really heavily on this Veigar. She is playing relatively aggressive, and we'll see how that plays out as we do get the rotation of the jungler from Bobcat Esports and the support from rawr here into the mid lane.
Yeah, it's just I do like that Catch My Hooks is roaming a lot. I feel like it helps add a lot of pressure into the other lanes, and after that first split, I'm pretty sure Dayu can handle Watley by himself, especially with just playing it back, letting them push in, and just playing it safe overall, which is what he seems to be doing right now as him and Ezreal get a little bit into it. However, Morgana walking up maybe, ooh, and he gets away.
I do think that the fact Catch My Hooks is roaming so much does kind of lead to this situation where you have Dayu Gaming in a real skill testing matchup, not necessarily against Dunky Dunks, but against Bell, because Bell is going to constantly be looking to land those Qs, and if she is in fact able to get that skill shot down without a Mumu in the area to provide a little bit of insurance for the Jinx, I think that this would probably be a pretty easy kill translated over to Bobcat Esports.
Oh, for sure, but it does seem like Dayu knows how to play safe and knows how to play a lane by himself as well, which is allowing him that, like, ability to kind of let Catch My Hooks roam and do whatever Catch My Hooks needs to do to just kind of get things rolling for his team. And it looks like Morgana were mid for a second as well and is going backing again. Yeah, so it's throwing out that TP, and Dragon is now getting started.
We do see the bot lane from rawr walk over that control ward in the bush right here, and we do in turn see pings coming down. Bobcat Esports know that they're on this dragon, but it looks like they're going to elect to just give this one away, given the fact that Bell had to back, and we see Miss Pimp on this Veigar a little bit pushed in right now, but in turn, and your Dead's moving into that mid lane, maybe looking for a gank. There it comes, Cage coming out, Windwall being dropped in turn, so damage can't be placed down onto the Yasuo. He's dashing through his minions, but that ignite might be enough to finish him off, and that is going to be a jump forward from Annual Deads with the utilization of that flash to clean up the kill.
So I was seeing pings on the Rift Herald, and it looks like they are going to get what they want out of that by getting that pick mid lane and maybe being able to start Rift Herald from there. It does look like Catch My Hooks is going to cover mid lane for a second just to provide a little bit more support to Black Jones, especially since he uses TPing earlier. And it looks like Dunky Dunks also now has that knowledge for his team that Turbo Pack was in their jungle on the bot side, so they can get away with this Rift Herald fairly uncontested.
Yeah, and it will be a question of whether or not Catch My Hooks wants to make a move here. He is a lone support up against the combined might of the top, mid, and jungle on the side of Bobcat Esports. So I think that he's basically going to just act as a living ward right there, kind of feeling out the movements of Bobcat Esports. We do have Turbo Pack, though, moving into this bush right here and eating over the wall, maybe looking for a play. Baby Cage coming down, and that is a huge wombo combo ultimate coming through. Miss Pimp going to be taken out as Phenom Pain trains in. Meanwhile, Dead moving back towards their tower here. That will be another one picked up for the side of rawr, as Dayu Gaming, as we have been seeing so familiarly throughout this game, is pushed under tower yet once more.
One unfortunate thing about Dayu is that while he was fortunate enough to get this very— oh, another fight.
Yeah, big Q coming through from Catch My Hooks, and that will be Jarvan for Dead as well. Potato Mustard forced to teleport here into the mid lane to curb a further push here from the side of rawr. But those are big picks coming through, and you're beginning to see a little bit of a gold lead begin to develop on the side of rawr.
It does seem like, even though we're only 10 minutes into the game, these teams are very objective-based, which I am very fortunate, like, glad that that's a thing, because I personally, objectives matter so much in this game, and for them to not be getting them is kind of detrimental to their team. Like the Ocean Drake and the Rift Herald, it's just pleasant to see these objectives getting prioritized as well, and saying, okay, well they just got Dragon, well let's go catch a pick mid, and you can just see the communication between teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, as we've been talking about before in this bot lane, the objective control has really kind of dictated the pace of the lane. Catch My Hooks, as they are so oriented towards these objectives, have been moving across the map, and in turn, Dayu Gaming has really been playing back, just trying to farm and scale up, but finally we're seeing some action here as we see Catch My Hooks jump in, get the Q into ultimate, and that is going to be Bell going down first. Donkey Donks having to hide under tower yet again. Very low mana here, so we may be seeing a dive come through, especially given the fact that Dayu Gaming still has that heal up, which could allow for them to get the push that they need into this tower. Super Mega Death Rocket coming out, forcing the flash as well from Donkey Donks. He's gonna have to walk all the way back to that tier 2 in order to get safely away.
So like now that Catch My Hooks is coming down, we're seeing Dayu being able to go through and get these towers, which is really good for them and getting that plating in. I'm shocked that Sion, there was also a little bit of a gank top lane while this was all happening, and Sion did survive it, which was good. And it just looks like everyone's kind of setting up for the next objective. Dragon isn't up for a bit, Rift Herald isn't up for a bit. However, Andrew Deads needs to place that Rift Herald down soon. I'm thinking he's going to be looking for it top lane, and if he doesn't get that down soon, then it's going to end up getting placed in a really awkward spot.
And we do see him coming in for a gank. Horn going to pincer from the other side, and the Phenom does have ultimate up, which will allow for them to walk away, not even having to use that. I think that Potato Mustard probably should have just stayed on the top side and gone the far way around to kind of collapse on Sion. But from what we're seeing, this is going to force the back out of UR and your Deads, and therefore we may be seeing a pivot in where they're looking to drop this Rift Herald.
Yeah, you were thinking exactly what I wanted to say as soon as you were done speaking, with Potato Mustard going through Tribush instead of taking that long way around to pincer getting better on Phenom. And it's kind of unfortunate to see that, because that definitely could have been a very nice setup for a good Rift Herald top, and no one would really have been there to contest it. However, Dragon is coming up soon, and it does look like Jarvan, Ezreal, Vigar, and Bell are all getting down together to get prepared for that. And it looks like we may even have picks coming up soon just to get this Dragon going. Bot lane is moving up, and it might be another pincer into this really awkward space. Rift Herald's getting dropped down mid to relieve some pressure on Dragon for them.
Yeah, all of my understanding of this fight is contingent upon whether or not Catch My Hooks will be able to get a good ultimate off. We get a little bit of a hasty and engage right there, and Turbo Pack is going to go down. That will be no smite for this fight, but the Phenom ulting in. Huge turnaround, and that is going to be 4 wiped out from Bobcat Esports. This will be an easy pickup on the Drake or rawr, even without their jungle.
A very unfortunate fight for them. Unfortunately, my belief is whenever you are playing on red side, getting dragons are just a lot more harder for you, because you have, while they can go around the dragon walls and pincer you from river like that, you don't have that ability to, and that's exactly what happened. Luckily, they do get some gold off of the turret plating, however, it may not be enough, as first tower may be getting taken down here a bit.
Yeah, we have the Phenom alongside Black Jones just beating away at this tower, and the fact that you have Sion on that demolish just means that he's able to wipe out these objectives really quickly here. And while it isn't going to be fully taken, this is a lot of gold being funneled over to the side of rawr here, and we see that gold lead begin to balloon to about 5,000.
Yeah, also, I'm trying to pull it up, but it does look like Jinx has her Kraken Slayer finish, which is honestly a very good item, especially for the team comp that she's up against. Going against that one when it comes to team fighting, she'll be able to have a lot easier of a time just kind of getting him lower, I guess is the best way to put it.
And it looks like we have a little bit of action here in the mid lane. I think that and your Deads is really kind of eager to get a kill back onto the side of Bobcat Esports here. Black Jones going to be able to pick up that tower, but is going pretty darn deep now. Huge knockup coming through, and he will not be able to make it out of that one alive. Miss Pimp going to pick up one for Bobcat.
Yeah, no, it looks like Rift Herald is coming up too. Objective bounties are also up now, which adds that opportunity for Red Team to go ahead and have that chance to get ahead again. And it does look like we're about to see a very big fight for the second Rift Herald of the game up in top lane, while bot lane seems to be having a fight going on as well.
Bell going a bit too deep there after Catch My Hook to win for that engage. Ultimate going to be utilized alongside the stopwatch, and that is a Morgana desperately trying to find a way to back while Jinx is dealing with Dunky Dunks hiding under the tower there. That will be the kill picked up for Catch My Hooks here. And yet again, we see a move kind of growing back in game here, lane, really paying dividends here. Although the Phenom is taking a lot of punishment here on the top side of the map. Call of the Forge God going to be sounded, and that will be one shutdown over to the side of Bobcat Esports.
However, I don't feel like it's enough, especially right now with the objective bounties in place. Yes, they get the second Rift Herald, but they still have yet to get a single tower, and you don't even see those damage marks on them. Meanwhile, all tier 1s in all 3 lanes are taken away on their side. So I'm just hoping that this Rift Herald will give them that chance to get a little bit more ahead. They get that Rift Herald down in a lane, they get that damage in, and then ideally they'll just be able to make some gold off of that from both the objective bounties.
And you see how that gold is beginning to manifest in the itemization on the side of rawr. We already have that hull breaker completed for the Phenom 124, which means that he will in fact be looking for this kind of perma side lane position. But at the same time, if he does get ahead enough, we may be continuing to see those rotations that led to this huge turn at the dragon fight earlier for rawr, where he's just able to get enough gold onto him that even though he will be giving up a little bit of efficiency by going into team fights and grouping with a hull breaker, he still will be able to be a force to be reckoned with.
Looks like he's going towards that bot side lane to start pushing, and it just seems like there has been a complete utter snowball from here. It just, that first flood at the beginning just kind of started that energy, started that motion for rawr to just get ahead and get their work done and just do phenomenal gameplay so far. Rift Herald is going down top lane. Jinx is unfortunately backing, which may make this a little bit more harder for Black Jones to defend, but we'll see how he does it, I guess.
Yeah, Black Jones is going to be up against the combined might of the Ornn and Jarvan in the top lane, and with that Rift Herald being dropped, it really looks like Bobcat Esports is trying to get one of these towers on the board for them, and perhaps even more here. Jarvan is going to back, and that Rift Herald is going to crash, but that ever so durable turret will remain standing. It just has not been whittled low enough from earlier on in the game for them to claim one of these objective bounties.
It's very unfortunate to see as well, because if I understand why Jarvan back there, but it's just really unfortunate timing to place that Rift Herald. I think it would have been placed better mid lane after the last one was placed there. And it does look like Dragon's getting started up. They're doing this little dancey dance, just trying to figure out what exactly should be done when Dragon comes up. Jarvan, no, not going to go through. I was honestly expecting him to for some reason. It does look like we're about to see a huge team fight down here, though, and Jinx gets Morgana bind, which may not be good, but Ornn is coming through, and ideally we'll get off a good ulti here to help his team catch up.
Yeah, True Shot Barrage used up to get some damage down with Dayu Gaming, but they're able to retrieve the backline. And Catch My Hooks is getting a lot of punishment dropped on them. Call the Forge God coming out. Now we got a bit of a split fight. L9 Turbo Pack is going to be able to take out people on the top side of the map, but at what cost? The rest of the team is going to fall, and that is going to be an ace coming through for rawr, really showing their dominance here in these battles.
Have noticed this potato mustard is struggling with those ults, getting that hit back, I guess is what I'll call it, and just launching his ult back at them and knocking everyone up. And it seems like he's struggling with that a lot. I don't know why. It just seems like he is so focused on these actual fights going on and not realizing that if he just ults back, then he's giving his team space to kind of back up and get ready to go. Tier 2 going down mid lane, which is going to be an interesting play. Everyone's coming down mid, and it looks like Jinx is going to start pushing up top lane too, ideally trying to get tier 2 there.
And with such large priority beginning to come through for rawr, I think that what we're going to be seeing here are just desperate attempts at picks for Bobcat Esports. They need to group and they need to find a way back into this one, hopefully by getting one of these shutdowns, either from Dayu Gaming or L9 Turbo Pack. We see a rotation here on the top side. Turbo Pack's going to go in, but that's a click and drag from behind, and I think that that will be going down directly onto the Jinx. Black Jones is going to be able to kill your deads, though, and Potato Mustard is also being taken out here. That is a disastrous attempt at a pushback on the top side of the map. We see the clustering of rawr, and they're going to look for an inhib at the very least here.
One thing that I did notice that Jarvan does have the right idea is he is going for the Jinx with a huge bounty on her right now. And I do think that is a good idea. Jinx seems to be doing a majority of the damage here for this team. And if they can get that Jinx down and kill her, I don't see what else much rawr can do. Jinx is their ADC, attack damage carry, you know? And while they're getting this Baron, again, like if they didn't have Jinx there, then they might be struggling a lot more. And as long as they just get that kill on the Jinx, I can see that being their win condition there. It's just keeping that Jinx out of the fight and not letting her be able to play the game.
Yeah, and I like And Your Deads' overall game plan right there, because we do see that dive down onto Dayu Gaming coming through, but the amount of damage that people like the Yasuo are now able to output just by simply being so ahead in gold, it means that you really aren't able to take out these big players before being taken down yourself. It really turns a situation from a solid 1v1 taking out a huge carry to just simply everyone on the enemy team is a carry, and now I'm just kind of inting into them.
Yeah, it is very curious to see what needs to be done here. From how I view it, as long as Belle is able to lock them down and get that pick with her Q, I can see that having potential. However, I do think if she really wants to get somewhere, she either needs to Q the Amumu when he walks up, or the Jinx just to get her out of the fight for a second and let And Your Deads do his thing to her. Unfortunately, it does look like a lot of rawr was grouped up though, which is very smart on their part, especially with that Baron buff. Sion is up pushing top lane with Hullbreaker, which is good, and it looks like they're just kind of farming for now, which is a little bit unfortunate, especially with that Baron buff. They don't want to let that go to waste.
I would like to see a little bit more of a push, especially here on the bot side of the map from rawr. It looks like they've kind of settled for using the big pushes of the minion waves into the enemy's base to just kind of tear apart the jungle. But at the same time, given how strong your individual champions are, I would imagine that just going for a siege in one of these lanes, be it mid or bot, would just be incredibly valuable. We meanwhile do have the Phenom on that top side of the map doing what Sion does best with that split push, just looking for a way in. He's going to pause off to take Krugs, but I really hope that he recommits to a push there on the top side.
Yeah, no, and it's just very weird to see how this Baron buff is getting used right now, especially because a lot of this could have been solved sooner, and a lot of towers could have been pushed if they pushed together as a group and let Sion split push either top or bot lane. Looks like we are going to see a little bit of a team fight here, though. However, we see no Criers, I think.
Yeah, we see that Hollowness come down. Jarvan tries to do something with the Cataclysm, but it is against a Gwen who's just going to eat out of the situation here.
Red team's turret has been
Sorry.
I was just going to say, meanwhile, we got a little bit of a push here in the mid lane, and if one of them does get caught out by Dark Binding, that could cause a lot of trouble here, but L9 Turbo Pack going to go in alongside Black Jones, and that's going to be one down already, and they're going to look to turn this into more. That's the second person on the side of Bobcat Esports falling, as Donkey dunks runs all the way back towards the top side of the map, where he is just going to be met with Sion, the Phenom, taking out one, and now with Gwen rotating, this will be Potato Mustard falling down as well, and Ace coming through for rawr. They're going to look to end it here.
That is exactly what I was looking for from the beginning, especially with their team fighting potential. We've seen what they've done, been able to do before, and now for them to have that final team fight and have that final push, it is a well-deserved win for them, especially with how good of a team comp they have.
Getting one on the board definitely going to be valuable for rawr, as they are still looking to chalk up their first full victory here in Zero Gravity Gaming's Iron Bronze Silver League. You are now one round away from victory here, getting yourselves your first big win, and therefore I'm really hoping to see them reconvene in the second game and bring us another real banger.
Yes, I am definitely hoping to see that energy just getting kept up. I'm also hoping on Bobcat's side that they talk this out, figure out what went wrong, and are just able to keep pushing through there. I want to see them persevere through this. I don't want this one loss being able to break them down. I want to see them say, you know what, we are Bobcat Esports. Like, we can win this. We got this. And I guess we'll figure out what happens the next game, and we will see you next time for draft pick.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Zero Gravity Gaming. We are here in round two between rawr and Bobcat Esports. rawr getting one on the board in a pretty emphatic manner here. Industrial, how do you think we're going to see the draft change up this time around?
I expect to see a Jinx ban. Either especially because Bobcat does not get first pick again. They wanted red side, so they're getting red side, and I just do not expect to see Jinx to get through any phase at all. Honestly, after that, so that whole just domination bit, it was just yeah, it was painful.
Yeah, I definitely think it is the case that we got a bit of domination there on the bot side, especially given how shut down Dayu Gaming felt early, given the fact that Catch by Hooks was roaming so much. But honestly, it was kind of domination out of all lanes, frankly, for rawr. The Phenom top side able to get a huge ult off, and that really turned this first big fight that we saw around the Dragon Pit onto the side of rawr. And from then on out, Black Jones, Turbo Pack, Dayu, all of them were sitting at shutdowns at one point or another.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a great game for Aurora. There's no denying that. They had the perfect synergy. They knew when to get objectives. They knew how to team fight together. And it definitely was not what I initially expected from Aurora, honestly, because we talked it earlier and before we even saw who was on their team. Like, we don't know who their top mid laner and jungler is. And for these three people who are not consistently on this team and consistently playing with these people to come together and just have this great game together and like have this perfect synergy, it was just magical to watch. Like, I wish that's how my rank games look, you know?
But they never do. It is the curse that we all feel here in the Silver League. I really do think that this time around, not only are we going to be getting a Jinx ban, but I would also like to see a shift in how Bobcat Esports approaches the jungle. That Gwen was just able to counter jungle really well, was always there for objectives, and in turn, I could see them maybe banning out a few more high priority picks earlier in order to target L9 Turbo Pack.
Yeah, no, I don't think Jarvan was the best choice there. However, I don't know what could be any better. I feel like if they like Bobcat, obviously like their team fighting is where they definitely struggled the most, in my opinion, at the very least. And because of that, I expect to see this better team fighting comp, just get through laning phase, and then once we all come together, like that is what I want to see personally. Is just them coming together as this one big old team and just getting that out. And it looks like they're banning Namumu first, which is no big shock after what happened to them last game.
It's interesting because we did see the targeted ban of the Pike come through for Bobcat Esports last game in order to try to get the pick away from Catch My Hooks. But I think that he was just kind of able to shift his entire game plan over onto this separate champion and really just kind of pick up where he left off. So in turn, I think that getting this Amumu ban on the table may not be enough to stop the support on the side of rawr from really getting his laners ahead here. But in turn, Industrial, we do see that Jinx ban come through.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised by that. I mentioned it prior. I'm honestly just kind of shocked that they banned out the entire bot lane that they went up against. Like, that kind of threw me for a spin. I was not expecting them to move banned. I guess also specifically because, in my opinion, Catch My Hooks has a lot of good picks. I mean, he plays hook like champions, and because of that, he can get so far. And it just looks like Bobcat, instead of banning these picks that they aren't comfortable with, they're just banning the people that they played against last game, like the champions played last game, which I don't like. And they're still gonna have to face a Gwen.
Yeah, that Gwen coming through. I guess my strategy of trying to ban out Turbo Pack did not come to fruition this time around. That could, in fact, be Phenom deciding to take this champion into the top side. But given how comfortable Turbo Pack seemed on Gwen, I wouldn't be surprised to see this picked up to go right back into the jungle for rawr. Xin Zhao, meanwhile, going to be the change up that we were looking for. Bobcat Esports going to go on to another one of these early game AD oriented skirmishers.
I do like the Zen pick, specifically because when I was scouting And Your Deads, he was known for playing, like, that was the first champion I saw, and I was like, this guy plays Zen Zhao. This guy is good at Zen Zhao. So I'm glad to see that, and I'm hoping he feels more comfortable on it, because I feel like when it comes to team comp, the biggest and most important thing to me is as long as you are comfortable in your pick. Like, personally, if someone asked me to play Rel bot lane because it's good for the team, I'd be like, no, at the end of the day, it's not going to be good for the team because I've never played that champion. I'm not comfortable with that champion. And to see these like comfortable picks coming through on Bobcat Esports side makes me feel a little bit better about what I may witness from them this game.
You know, speaking as a Mastery 7 Rail main, I will say, don't worry. You could first time that champion in ranked. You just kind of press W on people and they kind of, get CC locked for days. Pike going to
Ooh,
be picked up by rawr alongside the Tryndamere, basically confirming that we will in
Malphite!
fact have Turbo Pack on the Gwen here. Tryndamere, what a monster of a champion right now, able to just dish out so much damage. And unfortunately, Industrial, I think it's going to be shattering your dreams a little bit. But hey, a Malphite, an AP Malphite, perhaps.
An AP Malphite, I hope. If I do not see Comet in that loading screen, I'm gonna be so upset. I'm gonna be so mad. I want AP Malphite. If for people who have never seen me like rarely cast on Zero Gravity Gaming, I make like guest appearances. Every single time I ask for AP Malphite. If this is the day I get AP Malphite, I can retire. I will retire a happy woman. And it does look like we are getting the Yasuo ban on Bobcat's side, which again is another example of how they're just banning the people they played against, which I don't think is a good idea because we can see that they're adapting and they might even do better on these champions. Yone,
Oh,
I like that. I like that. If you ban one brother, you gotta ban both. I can get behind that.
I am a little bit sad that rawr first picked that Gwen because we could have been seeing the full team band come out from Bobcat Esports here. They did not want any of those hands being thrown from the last round seeping on into this one here. But at the same time, Yone is a champion that just frankly doesn't deserve to exist. I'm happy to see it removed from the pool and from rotation here, and hopefully that this will put Black Jones on something a little bit different, not one of the Wind brothers.
Yes, I am glad. The one thing that interests me is that rawr basically target banned Miss Pimp, and I'm pretty sure Miss Pimp is poor girl is probably having like a mental breakdown. Like, what do I play? What do I play? Because the two main picks I see for her consistently are Veigar and Malzahar, and both those are banned. So I'm predicting that she's gonna whip out the Kiana because I did see that in her match history, and ideally, as much as I would like to see that, I don't know if that's a good idea. Caitlyn. Caitlyn, I talked about earlier, that just range alone, she has the biggest attack range of the entire game, and it is not a fun time. And I feel like Caitlyn is just going to believe this misfortune already.
Yeah, we talked about how Dayu Gaming really likes these heavily range oriented AD carry picks, and I think that the Caitlyn is just perfectly synergizing with their playstyle. We saw it banned out last game, so getting it grabbed here in the second phase is really interesting, and I think that rawr are going to be very comfortable on their selections. Rise, I think for realsies this time, going to be locked in, going into the hands of Black Jones there in the mid lane. We've talked a lot in the past about the different build paths that this champion can take. Given the fact that you have so much damage output from the likes of Caitlyn and Tryndamere, I think we're most likely going to be seeing Everfrost into Fimbulwinter for this big blue mid laner. And we will, in fact, be getting that Kiana Industrial in that matchup mid. And you know what this means? With an AD threat in that position, it does free up Malphite a little bit to go for those AP builds that you
All I'm
so
saying.
desperately desire.
That's all I'm saying. Because if a Malphite went AP Malphite, then you know what? They would have more AP, and then they wouldn't be an all AD team, and I'd be very content. Um, However, the one thing that I really am kind of not excited for is the spot lane on our side. Caitlyn and Pike, I don't think they have good synergy together. And that might be a hot take, but I don't think they have good synergy together because, like, compared to a champion like Morgana or Lux, where once you yoink that person, they are stuck there, and then Caitlyn can place a trap exactly where it needs to be. That Pike Q, that champion is going to fly, and you have no clue where, and you have no idea when to have that W placed perfectly until Pike goes in for his dashy stun thing. And like there's no other way to describe it. So I'm not too excited for this bot lane, at least on our side, because I know the struggles of playing Caitlyn and having a Pike support personally, and I don't enjoy playing that. So I'm hoping it goes well in their favor. I do see a lot of roaming potential for Pike this game, but that's just because we saw a lot of roaming from Catch My Hooks on a Mumu, and on a more mobile champion like Pike, I expect to see that.
Yeah, I wanted to say industrial. I'm not really sure if I care about the synergy between the Pike and Caitlyn, given the extent to which Catch My Hook was just happy running all around the map and letting DU Gaming just kind of fend for themselves here. Perhaps we'll see that come to fruition once more. I think that Caitlyn, similar to Jinx, is able to play pretty far back and just position well against Morgana's attempts to go in for a root. So we could be seeing a
Here's my thing
repeat,
though.
but
I don't think Caitlin's that mobile either though. And against a misfortune where her E slows, I think Caitlyn has a very much high chance of getting Morgana bind. I don't think bot lane will go as well as it did last game. For them at least.
yeah, perhaps we will in fact be seeing Catch My Hooks kind of tied to their bot laner a little bit more. But honestly, everything is up in the air. I've been thoroughly and pleasantly surprised by rawr's performance so far, and they can continue to surprise in the second round as well. I mean, heck, this was a team where we literally didn't even know who their players were before coming into this lobby. So, given the fact that they showed such synergy, I in this first round, I
You just
hope
gotta
that they're
trust the
able to translate this
process.
over. Yeah, yeah. We trust the process. You know how it is.
Yeah. When it comes to Bobcat's side, I do see what looks like more comfortable picks. However, I'm not 100% sure about that. Miss Pimp got target banned, so she's on like her third choice, and I don't know how comfortable she is on that. Misfortune, I'm not even sure how that's gonna go. Malphite, please be AP. And then Zen and Morgana are like the most comfortable picks there. And meanwhile, the top laner and Miss Pimp are playing these two champions that like they're not fully comfortable on, but they're comfortable enough to play. And that's what like concerns me.
And Kiana is not exactly the kind of champion that I would gravitate towards if I were put in the position of, okay, my two mains are banned. Who the heck am I going to pick up to make sure that I have a stable laning phase? This is the champion that wants to snowball and also has an incredibly high technical skill ceiling here. So I really want to train my eyes there onto Miss Pimp to see what her performance will be like on this champ.
I think the two quote unquote two lanes that I am gonna have my eyes on the most is jungle and mid lane. I mean, we saw how jungle prioritized objectives, how Bobcat went, okay, they got dragon, let's get Rift Herald. We've seen that before, and I want to see that same work. I want to see more ganks. I want to see just snowballing these lanes into hell, and just seeing what happens from there. But on that note, do you have any final thoughts or?
Yeah, I just want to say very actionable win conditions on either side here. So I think that this could be the chance for Bobcat Esports to even this series up and take us to a game three. Really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I honestly, that's my thought completely. I honestly don't see which team could win here. I think both team comps are great. So, on that note, we will see you guys when we get in game.
Welcome back, everyone, to Zero Gravity Gaming. This is going to be round 2 between rawr and Bobcat Esports. We're seeing the same positions as we saw last game. rawr going for the blue side, and Bobcat Esports, even on the loss, deciding to go red once again. We'll see how this plays out as we see this big grouping of rawr players here on the bot side of the map.
They have Comet Malphite. They have Comet Malphite. That is, oh, they're about to invade. And Comet Malphite will not be there.
Yeah, a flash hook is not going to land. That will be flashes traded on the bot side, though. Dunky Dunk's going to get out of the way of that engage. We'll see how that impacts how the lane plays out. Obviously, this will prevent Catch My Hooks from being able to go for similar plays later on in the game, especially given the fact that he no longer is on that Hex Flash of Mumu that we saw from the last round.
It does look like, however, that And Your Deads is going to try and take rawr's blue, but Phenom is about to walk in at the wrong time. And
yeah, big flash coming through. Phenom eating out of there and turning away their flash as well. Blacktone's going to rotate into the area to try to scare these champions away from that blue buff. And at least now, if we see Bobcat Esports try to go for that invade once more, you will in fact be able to catch them out if you're on the side of rawr. So I think that with that in mind, we'll probably be seeing a pretty solid and basic clear setup from either side. Tryndamere going to land with a little bit of health missing, but once again, huge engage coming from Catch My Hooks to start off this bot side. I don't think Bell is going to go down quite as quickly as we saw in game 1, but that is already Ignite used and a lot of damage being put onto the Morgana.
That is... Catch My Hooks wants this first split for Dayu, and he is going to get it. He has a goal here, and he wants to achieve it. What I think is also really interesting is how Miss Pin is now the main lane mid laner, and Black Jones is the range mid laner. That's just like a weird thing that I realized. It looks like we might have a little bit of vertical jungling going on, though, because we see Turbo Pack just in the bot side jungle of And Your Deads, and it looks like And Your Deads is taking Gwen's blue in return.
And we'll see what this turns into. Phenom going to rotate into the area, trying to harass And Your Deads a little bit. But I think that given the fact you have Smite on Xin Zhao in the rotation of Potato Mustard, that would probably go in favor of Bobcat Esports here. In turn, Gwen is just going to kind of return to their own jungle as we see some action on the bot side of the map. Bell going very, very low, being chased down, and that is in fact going to be first blood picked up by Bell. Catch My Hooks not able to secure a kill in return. It is going to be chased down. A little bit of a disastrous engage from rawr right there, going to be putting this one in favor of Bobcat Esports.
That is tunnel vision at its finest, is the best way I can put it. We saw Catch My Hooks see how low Bell was and just going, I need to go in, I need to go in, I need to go in, and not helping his ADC out when Dayu got ignited and was running for his life, and there just wasn't any good synergy there, I guess, and that's what I talk about the most here, is that's what I value. And I'm hoping that after that, Catch My Hooks kind of learned from that and was like, okay, I need to make sure I'm still helping my ADC while I'm also helping my ADC to secure these kills.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that Catch My Hooks maybe kind of died right there, just thinking, if I only had that flash instead of trying to go for that invade, that could have ended a little bit more evenly. But now, with the 0-2 scoreline in full effect, I think that we're going to be seeing that bot lane calm down for a little bit, especially as the action seems to be balanced towards the top side of the map, as Gwen is rotating up there and continuing to counter jungle.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused with what Gwen's doing, honestly. I don't know if it's vertical jungling or if it's just, hey, I'm gonna ruin a day. Looking like, hey, I'm gonna ruin a day, so. But it does look like Mr. Xin Zhao is getting Scuttle, helping that out. I think the next fight we'll see will probably be in bot lane, especially it looks like Xin Zhao's running down to get a gank on Caitlyn and Pike right now.
Zinni Z definitely a little bit down in CS given the pathing that L9 Turbo Pack was able to take early here, but he's going to look to try to get a bit more gold onto himself with a gank somewhere on the map. Xin Zhao really is someone that wants to get these early fights going in their favor here, but that push back from Catch My Hooks and Dayu Gaming means that they're going to just kind of sit at tower for the time being while Xin Zhao clears out their bot side.
notice is that Ocean Drake is up, and we aren't seeing that like immediate priority for it like we did last game. Maybe it's because it just came up or whatever the case is. However, I do expect to see some Prio coming down there soon. It does look like TurboPack at his first back as well, and it looks like TurboPack is heading for that dragon along within your dead.
Meanwhile, topside still not fully going in the Phenom's favor. This is just simply due to the fact that they came to the lane with a health deficit and have not been able to back so far. Potato Mustard able to sustain a little bit with their utilization of their corrupting potions here. TurboPack getting engaged on a little bit here. We'll see if Black Toes will be able to come into the area to help turn this fight. Bell coming through though, making sure that Gwen has to retreat back into the shadows of their jungle.
Seems like right now that Bobcats is taking what they learned from last game against rawr and just kind of mimicking that. Like, you notice Bell is roaming more. You notice that just all these like different things that are happening that are not the same from last game. We got the double kill on Bobcat's side compared to rawr's side. And it's just kind of curious, I guess is the best way to put it. Because it looks like all these objectives are now getting secured on the side of Bobcat. And it may be what we were looking for. This is their perseverance. This is them being like, hey, we're gonna rock this, and now we're getting an Ocean Drake, and what are you gonna do about it? Because especially because Gwen's topside right now, there isn't anything that can be technically done.
And it really feels like we're getting some pretty solid adaptation from the side of Bobcat Esports here. The first dragon picked up for their side, and we have Rift Herald spawning in about a minute, so it'll be a question of whether or not that is where the drama will go down, and we'll see rawr try to make their move to get the momentum back in their favor. Even with the 2 kills, it isn't like there's a huge gold gap here, so I don't think that rawr are fully zoned off of any objectives right now. They still very much have the ability to look for engages, especially if they are able to pick someone off with Catch My Hooks or TurboPack.
The gold deficit isn't too big of a deal just yet either. And I do see room for them to catch up. It's just, how are they going to go about doing that?
A lot of drama here on this top side. It looks like TurboPack is going to have to drop this Hallowed Mist and just try to get out of there. They were very, very low, taking that red buff, or trying to at least, away from And You're Deads here. And in turn, they won't be able to continue their counter jungling. They're going to have to rotate back to their own side and finally start taking their camps for once.
It seems one thing I'm noticing about TurboPack this game compared to last game is, and I think it's just because of what happened last game, the domination that occurred. TurboPack is like, okay, you know, it doesn't matter. I can just go into the enemy team's jungle and nothing's going to happen to me. However, this is a completely different champion that we're seeing And You're Deads on. Like, it's not going to be the same. And I think that is the issue that Turbo is running into, why Turbo keeps having these close calls against And You're Deads in the jungle.
Yeah, and while that definitely is the case, that maybe they're playing slightly too risky, look at that CS difference beginning to form. Gwen is a champion that's only ever going to get better late, and You're Dead's on the Xin Zhao is just simply not going to have that same kind of luxury. He has been fully zoned off the broad tempo of the game, basically, and just getting massively out jungled. So I understand where that confidence, or maybe overconfidence, is coming through from TurboPack.
Hope that doesn't result in a death on TurboPack's part. However, it does. I'm curious to see how the bush strats go over here. Oh, they don't work.
They don't work, yeah. That is a Q being whiffed, followed by a relatively whiffed ultimate. Dayu Gaming not really going into the danger zone off of that engage here. And this might mean we see Catch My Hooks and Dayu Gaming playing a little bit more aggressively on the side of rawr. But And You're Dead's going to rotate down.
One thing that needs to just happen too is Catch My Hook still isn't 6 yet, and that is very scary.
Yeah, a bit of a face check right there. Catch My Hook's going to get knocked up, trying to get away with their E here, but they are being heavily chased down by the enemy team. He's forced to flash over the wall and will somehow be able to wrap their way back around to tower there, but very, very scary situation.
Yeah, that was definitely a very close call, and it just seems like a lot of summoner spells are being popped right now. That Morgana Eve was very good, though, to avoid that Pike Stone on Xin Zhao's part, so Xin could just keep chasing. I really like that.
And it looks like Belle is very comfortable hitting these roots on the Morgana. She's been landing a lot of them, but the question is, can she get one where it really matters? If we saw that Dark Binding land when they were sitting in the bush, that could have easily have been a dead Caitlyn, given the fact that Miss Fortune had that ultimate up. But right now, it just kind of feels like they're coming at inopportune times as we see a supreme display of talent being dropped here to push away the Phenom from Miss Pimp.
A very smart play on Miss Pimp's part, definitely just trying to get that, like, make that distance and be able to just get away. And now the question is just, what is happening next? It looks like there's going to be a little bit of a dancer on Rift Herald. Rise is moving his way up as well, so we're going to see all three top jungle and mid laners potentially getting in on this fight.
The Phenom going to return top to push this wave in. He is at a little bit of a health deficit, but at the same time is a Tryndamere, has their Undying Rage up, and the prowess that we're seeing from L9 Turbo Pack on this Gwen means that she is quite a bit up regarding items here on both Leeching Leer and Blasting Wand, which would make a duel very, very difficult from the side of Bobcat Esports. They're eventually just going to peel back off of this fight and ultimately just allow for rawr to pick up this Rift Herald.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm noticing a lot of whiffed ultis, or a lot of defensive ultimates here, which are very curious to me, I guess. I don't know what the play exactly was with that Pike ulti. I don't know if it was just to try and get close enough to be able to do the rest of the damage, but I just didn't like that, I guess, simply put.
And it is the case that we are in the Iron, Bronze, Silver League, which means that we'll be seeing a little bit more looseness of play. But I do agree that that was a little bit questionable on the side of Catch My Hooks, as it's going to prevent these team fights from really going in the favor of rawr. L9 Turbo Pack, for instance, just getting melted right there by a huge clap from the side of Bobcat. That's going to be another one on the board in their favor here, and that kind of priority is going to allow for them to rotate down towards this Mountain Drake.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that that just happened to happen when it did, because that is a free Drake for them as well. So it looks like they will be getting an Ocean and Mountain Drake and 2 away from Soul at the end of this.
Oh, and
Unless...
that is Pike rooted here. Miss Pimp coming into the area, maybe looking for a way in, but is going to get rooted in turn by Black Jones, who's going to run forward. Caitlyn being dropped. That will be a kill picked up for rawr. As the fight continues here, we see the rotation of And You're Dead going a little bit too deep, and for some reason, Bobcat Esports just massively overstepping their bounds. They had the dragon, but they just wanted to give up kills, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they were, I guess the best way to put it, they are still ahead, but now with the Rift Herald down, all that turret plating, they're getting first tower mid. The gold deficit is now there, and it's in favor of rawr with that 20k to 17k. That 3k difference means so much, and it just seems that I don't know what can be done from there. It's just, once again, once we get into that more mid to late game area, we're seeing a lot more team fighting, and that just seems to be where rawr thrives.
And Industrial, I regret to inform you that we have confirmed a Bomby Cinder buy onto Potato Mustard's Malphite, which may mean that we are seeing this dream of a full AP top laner fall through the cracks.
I've been slowly looking at Potato Mustard's build, and it's been really upsetting me, and I've been choosing not to think about it, so thank you for reminding me. I really did not need that. I was choosing not to think about that, because all I'm saying is, Potato Mustard, if you want AP Malphite, I think this game would be a lot more in your favor. My personal belief. I might be tripping though.
Purely based upon the movement of the universe rather than
purely based upon the fact
that
I am forever traumatized by a full AP Malphite ulting me, and I will never forget.
Is that where this all comes from?
Yeah, just full AP Malphite ult. Literally, that is it. Death Cat Malphite with that ult, it is crazy. That is where this obsession has sprouted, and I hope one day to just see it in some tournament or some pro play. That is all I want in this world.
Well, I want Talia's support to happen at a high level, and frankly, I think that both of our dreams are pretty far off from ever really occurring. In the meantime, though, a little bit of an engage going through here in the mid lane. Miss Pimp gonna be able to dash their way back out with the help of that Black Shield, but Turbo Pack going way too deep right there, just eating a ton of damage. Dayu Gaming, they're going to be able to capitalize on what they were able to put down and pick up a double kill in turn. That is a huge play coming through from the side of rawr. That Gale Force really coming in handy.
Dayu's definitely proving his worth now again. Not again, I guess, but like once more proving I'm a feared person on EDC. Like no matter who I play, I am someone that you need to be careful of and watch out for. And it's really showing, and now we're just witnessing the double headshot and the rampage.
And you know, I'm starting to call into question that discussion about synergy between Pyke and Caitlyn. I mean, that seems like about an ideal play for this pair. Pulling Kiana back and then Miss Pimp, she just desperately tried to run back for tower and in turn stepped on a Caitlyn trap. Oh, this is the big flank that Potato Mustard might look for. Was that a canceled ultimate coming through from Dunky Dunks though? That could have been a shutdown down onto the Caitlyn here, and we are still going to see the turn onto Bobcat Esports. That's one, that's two, but that could have gone a whole lot more smoothly.
It definitely could have if Dunky did not cancel his ulti there. Malphite, you would have done more damage, 1 AP, that's all I'm gonna say. That was really good turn though, like for Potato Mustard to just calm down and be like, hey guys, what's poppin'? And then just get those shutdowns for his team, and it's helping gap this gold lead once again. And I just feel like this game is a lot more even now because of that. Turbo Pack is definitely getting a little bit too aggressive. I think the confidence is becoming a little bit of overconfidence now, which is slightly concerning just because it's kind of the reason he is struggling right now in fights and that kind of stuff. Like, he just keeps going and he needs his team. You need a team fight. You are way too far ahead. Your team could not catch up to you before you're dead, you know? And, like, while he's getting those key ultis off, it's just he could be doing so much more if he was a part of the fight instead of just eating ult after ult after ult.
And you think about the terror that Gwen becomes when she's allowed to have an extended team fight, and I think that, like, just by virtue of being so ahead in terms of itemization against Xinjiao, we've been seeing them put out a lot of damage. But imagine what Turbo Pack could do if they do stick with the team and they're able to kind of dance around the first moves of the fights, jumping in and using needlework. They'd be able to just set up a lot more solid and clean kills for the side of rawr. As speaking of clean kills, the Phenom gonna flash forward and try to get one down onto Potato Mustard here. That is Undying Rage being popped, but now we have a big turn on the bot side of the map.
It looks like a big fight here to play for Drake. rawr does not want to see Bobcat get this third Drake and get that potential soul point on their side. So it just looks like Catch My Hook is looking for a pick. However, it looks like Dragon is just the goal to get blown up right now.
Yeah, given the fact that we see Miss Pimp on Kiana going into the mid lane here, I think that this is basically a concession on the part of Bobcat Esports. They're going to let rawr have one of these dragons here, and I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I think that given the abilities that are currently up on the side of Bobcat, they could have tried to push for that dragon here. Going up to Soul Point could be a huge defining factor for this one.
The one thing that I do like that I'm seeing though is like Validate Misfortune, because my friends and I have all been having issues with some of our other friends going like regular Crit Misfortune, so I'm glad to see that Dunky is going Lethality. That just makes me feel better. I've seen what Lethality can do. I do like the build path that he's going, especially against this kind of team comp. And it looks like a second tower is about to be secured bot lane for rawr as well if Black Jones just autos it. There it goes.
And meanwhile, in the mid lane, we see Dayu and Catch My Hooks really just sticking together this whole game here. Not as much roaming from the Pyke as we saw coming from Amumu last time around. But what this means is that they're just able to get a ton of priority over these lanes. Even though it is the case we don't have any neutral objectives up to contest, I love the fact that they're able to kind of still put the burden of making a play on to the side of Bobcat Esports. With all these waves pushed, it really becomes a matter of, can Bobcat Esports find a good engage, or will they just continually have to clear these waves and continue to get damage put down onto their own towers?
The one thing I am noticing on rawr's side, which is going to become an issue for them later, is just the lack of vision on their side.
And that is a huge ultimate coming through from Potato Mustard, able to get a big knockup down onto Dayu Gaming, and combined with the Wombo combo of Misfortune, Fortune's bullet time. That will be a kill going over to Bobcat Esports as they lay siege to this tower. Catch by Hooks, throwing a few Qs here and there, but even with TurboPack in the area, they aren't really able to resist the full 5-man in the mid lane, as that is going to be TurboPack going down once again, a little bit over aggressive here. That is a huge throw on the side of rawr. 2 towers going to be picked up from Bobcat Esports and several kills to boot.
It doesn't seem that there was much that could be done there, though, because Black Jones was pushing out bot side, Phenom was pushing out top, and he even got a tower for it in return, which is at least somewhat beneficial to the 2 tower siege that happened. However, what is concerning is it's just those objective bounties, how much money you can get from those. And it looks like now Bobcat Esports understands the concept of just mobbing together as a team, going together as a team, and what it can do for them.
That was a big cue from Mel, allowing for Tryndamere to get knocked down. Another kill going over to the side of Bobcat Esports, and they are really beginning to close up that gold gap now. So many kills going through. This really shows that they still are definitely in this one. Great team fighting prowess, and unless we see similar grouping or at least better matching from the approaches being made by Bobcat Esports, rawr might be in trouble here.
rawr needs to do, and I mentioned this as Caitlyn died, was just the lack of vision on their side. Like, they have wards around, but they also aren't destroying them either. Like, you can see all the wards on the bot side in their own jungle right now that are just sitting there, and people are gonna know when they go through and where they are if they're on their side of the thing, I guess is what's on their side of the map. Rift Herald getting popped in a very awkward spot, but it does look like they're trying to bum rush Baron right now that it is 21 minutes, and it seems no one on Bobcat's side is noticing either.
Few pings coming down here. Catch My Hook's gonna run right into the face of Bell and Miss Pimp here. Going to be able to get away, but now this is a high alert situation for Bobcat Esports. They're gonna go around that Baron. It's going to be taken down in turn. rawr has this in their back pocket. They're gonna look to leave, get out of dodge, rotate across the map, get some pushes going, and hopefully pick up a second dragon or 2 in just about a minute.
Cloud Drake is coming up in a minute, which is very important. I mean, it's either the chance for rawr to get even on Drakes or the chance for Bobcat to get that soul point, which is going to be very important for them if they want to win this game and that kind of stuff. I do think Drakes are very important. And it's the question of just what's going to happen next. We see everyone kind of getting ready for Drake. However, Gwen is top right now, pushing that tower with Baron buff, which may not be good for when it comes to Dragon to be up in just 23 seconds.
I don't know if I'm too torn up about a possible concession of a third Drake from rawr here, given the fact that you are probably going to require a big push from the side of Bobcat Esports to even contest this objective. It means that you get to basically push whatever lane you so desire pretty unaffected here, and even the pressure being put down means that we aren't even going to be able to see Bobcat Esports go rush that dragon. In fact, they're going to try to wrap around back to the mid lane. Potato Mustard going in, dropping the ultimate here, and in turn Bolt Time is going to come out, but this is a relatively split fight for both sides. Supreme Display of Talent going to get some big stuns down though. That will be Bell killing the ADC on the side of rawr, but this turnaround coming through huge right now. Triple kill going through for Catch My Hooks. They have secured an ace in the base of Bobcat Esports, and I think that this just might be the entire game going in their favor.
I think that's game right there, and that just shows what a good fight ulti can do, I guess is the best way to say it. I think that was a fantastic play. I wasn't sure what to do when they weren't going for Drake, but now I understand. And they get the win from that, and that is amazing. And from there, I guess we have our winners of this bit. rawr, you won, and congrats, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like, congratulations.
rawr taking it 2-0 here in the Zero Gravity Gaming League over Bobcat Esports. This will be the first victory for rawr. In going with a clean 2-0, not a bad way to get on the board, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing play on their side. Just watching how they don't always have the most consistent members every single week. They always have these different people coming in and out to play for them. And for them to be able to just come through and be like, hey, we are here, we are doing this, and we're still going to rock it and get that win, I think it might give them the momentum that they need to win next week as well.
Yeah, for those of you who may be unfamiliar with rawr as a team. We are literally seeing only a single person in the form of Dayu Gaming as a consistent member coming through this week in order to see this first victory come about. Catch My Hooks is one of the substitutes there, and even with that being the case, the amount of focus that we saw being placed upon the Caitlyn in this game and the Jinx in the prior game shows that even though you may only have 1 point of stability, that is a very solid point to have there. Dayu just doing so much work.
That was just an amazing game. Bobcat, I think you guys also did amazing. Like, you guys had such a great early start, and it's unfortunate to just see how one fight can just snowball a game completely. I honestly, like, the Rush Baron call, like, very random, but it ended up playing out in Aurora's favor, and congratulations to them once again. Had some really good calls, and they were able to pull through with them and just get what needed to be done and secure the win.
Definitely one for the history books here. This series shows a lot of the fundamentals that become so darn important as you progress up the ladder here. If we saw Bobcat Gaming just get a little bit of vision over that Baron pit, we could have seen a faster rotation into the area and perhaps a full contest and even turn. Very different outcomes, very much on the table at a lot of different points in both of these games. And I'm really excited to see how both of these teams return to the Zero Gravity Gaming League next week.
Yeah, this is definitely exciting to see. On that note, I don't know if there's much else for us to talk about. I guess you guys can come back next week. I think there's also, I don't know when the Gold League is. I know it is later this week, but there are more streams later this week if you want to continue watching the tournament and see where everyone goes. IBS will be back here next week at 8 p.m. if you would like to watch us again.
8 p.m. for real this next time, hopefully. No more
Ideally,
delays.
ideally.
That is what we are praying for. But on behalf of Zero Gravity Gaming, I'm Nyarko. I was your play-by-play for tonight, and I was here in the booth with Industrial. Shout outs as well to Fritz on production, just running a tight ship, keeping it all together, and also giving us the luxury of playing a little bit of Mundo Dodgeball.
Thank you, Fritz. Alrighty.